Hello and welcome to this After Effects certification preparation series of videos. I'm Luisa Winters. In this video, I want to discuss Objective 2.3C, which is using guides and grids. And I get it, we already talked about guides, we already talked about grids, but I just want to add a couple more things. And in case some of you didn't watch the previous videos, let's make sure that we do cover this. As you know, I'm going through these objectives in order, and sometimes things repeat. So let's get to it. And I have the same project open in here. If I want to show all of these non-rendering aids to animation, all I have to do is go here to this little icon here at the bottom of the comp panel, and I can show the title Action Save Area. So this is pretty self-explanatory. I can also show the proportional grid. And if you remember in the video in which we showed this, I actually made it to show me the rule of thirds. So say I want to make this visible, I can now use the proportional grid to help me position these letters a little bit better. And I can add other elements. Say if I want to add a circle or a square, whatever, it doesn't really matter. And I can use these to help me with the positioning of the elements here in the comp panel. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And I don't want to show the proportional grid anymore, but I want to show the grid itself. And if I want to change where the grid is, how many grid lines I have, I can go to Edit, Preferences, and I can go to Grids and Guides. And when I was recording the other movie, I changed this grid line to, well, a lot, right? So I'm going to change it back, and maybe I want a grid line every 50 pixels with just one subdivision. And I can have the style be dashed lines, dots, etc. I like the lines. And I'm going to change the color to, I don't know, purple, whatever, only to show you that you can change the color. And now when you click OK, there you go. Now there is an important thing about grids that you should know. And if you go onto the View menu, you can snap things to the grid. And what that means, actually, let me turn it on. And what that means is that I can have elements. I'm going to have, say, the ellipse tool. I'm not going to have a stroke. And yeah, red is good. So I can just click and drag like yay. I'm going to put the anchor point here in the middle. And now with the selection tool, I can just drag these, and that anchor point is snapping to every intersection of the grid line. So that helps me a lot with the positioning. So, you know, having grids and guides to help you is actually an invaluable thing in After Effects. Now, we've talked about proportional grid. We talked about grids. Let's talk about guides. And guides usually come out of rulers. So if you're showing the rulers, you can actually click and drag out of the ruler and say, I'm going to just put a guideline at the top and at the bottom of the C from City Reveal, and maybe one here and another one here, so that I am really just demarking where the city reveal is. I can now make all of these invisible, for example, but I am left with the guides, which are going to help me position things. Say I want to have a rectangle under that, right? I don't have to guess. All I have to do is draw it. So I'm going to draw it here. And do you see how it actually snaps to those guides? So things snap to them naturally, to the grids and the guides. If you find that things are not snapping, go under View and make sure that the snapping is on. All right. So here we go. Let's go ahead and delete these two shape layers that I created. I'm also going to make the other two layers visible. And now I want to tell it to, I don't want to see the grids, I don't want to see the guides, I don't want to see the rulers, I don't want to see any of that. Let's talk a little bit about snapping. If I am moving my playhead like yay, and I am already showing some markers, as I move the playhead, I can press and hold the Shift key, and the playhead is going to naturally snap to every visible marker. In the case of the markers that have length, like this one for color correct this area, it snaps to the beginning and the ending of that marker. For the other ones, it just snaps to the marker itself. Try it and you'll see how it just feels different, and it just lets you snap things to where you need to snap them automatically. And it also works with keyframes, with visible keyframes, that is. So let's go ahead and create a new composition. I'm just going to use the shortcut Control N. I'm going to call it New Comp, and I'll click OK. And let's just say that I want to create a composition with 3 circles all across the middle. So I can use the Align and Distribute to help me with this. So I can go, say, to my Ellipse tool, and I can create, say, 1 circle, right? I can now duplicate that circle by selecting the layer and pressing Ctrl D twice. So now I have a total of 3. On the Mac, that's going to be Command D. And now I can just move 1 and another one here, right? I can select all 3 of them, and now I can go on to Align. So Window, Align, and that opens this panel. And I can use it to align things to, say, the middle, to the top, whatever it is. And I can align layers to actually the selection or the composition. So if I do it to the composition and I go to up, do you see how the top of those just goes all the way to the top of the composition? Yeah, I can also distribute these, say, horizontally, like yay, or vertically, like yay. So if I have this and I want to distribute these evenly, I can go like yay, see how it moved a little bit, and like yay, see how it moved a little bit. So I have full use of this panel for alignment and distributing, and it doesn't have to be to the composition. It could just be to the selection, so that if I have these 3 selected like yay, I can simply distribute them like yay, horizontally and vertically, and voila, I got it. And I can now, I can do whatever I want with these. I can duplicate these and I can just move them like yay, and duplicate them again and move them maybe here, whatever. It doesn't really matter. The important thing is that to position these elements, I used aligned and distribute. And this brings me to the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and see you on the next video.